Roguelike. This genre of games had its first appearance in the year of 1980 when the game called Rogue was released. And it looked like this. Yes, it's the game. Since then the genre evolved and grew, creating new branches of gaming and, what's important to this video, spreading itself into so many different gacha games as an additional event content. But it's not entirely correct. We gotta take a little step back. So in the year of 2008, almost 30 years after Rogue released, a bunch of nerds gathered together in Berlin, in Germany, and started defining what makes a roguelike. Now their conclusion is called the Berlin interpretation. And so they came up with this. The main features of roguelikes are 1. Procedural random dungeon generation, meaning the dungeon has certain rules it follows in the way it is generated, but they are only made to provide enough resource for completion. 2. Permadeath. If you die 07, you can't respawn unless you have special artifacts. 3. There is no defined meta progression. 4. Turn-based and grid-based gameplay. 5. Non-modality of the gameplay. This basically means that everything is happening in one mode. You walk, eat, sleep, fight all in one mode instead of entering combat mode, for example. 6. Action complexity. A door can be unlocked with the key, or the lock can be picked. The door can be broken, burned down, etc. 7. The use of management of survival resources like food, water, or healing items, which are limited. 8. The game is hack and slash. And 9. The game requires exploration and discoverability of the world every single run. The examples of games that follow most of these rules are Rogue, NetHack or Adam as the early games, and Caves and an original version of Pixel Dungeon as the newer ones, though they are still old as fuck. But have you noticed that I didn't mention popular games like Isaac that sells Gungeon or Slay the Spire? Well, that's fairly simple. Roguelike is now used as an umbrella term because people, justifiably so, don't really give a shit about differentiating roguelike with its son, roguelite. And those games are specifically roguelites. There are a few differences between the two. First, the generation is still procedural, but isn't as random. For instance, while in Pixel Dungeon or Rogue every single room and a corridor is unique, Isaac has a pool of pre-designed rooms it builds its floors from, instead of creating each of them from scratch. 2. Permadeath still exists, but roguelites now have a very defined meta progression. 3. Roguelites are rarely turn-based, but what is more important, they are very rarely grid-based, and most roguelites are action combat. 4. Less focus on survival game mechanics, like the absence of hunger and thirst, and more accent on the hack and slash aspect. And 5. The exploration is much more streamlined due to the nature of the floor generation. Yet the 9th rule still applies. You are required to explore and discover the world every single run. Now, unfortunately, there's no written down set of rules of what makes a roguelite, akin the Berlin interpretation, but if you ask me to define them, roguelites are the games that have procedural random floor generation, permadeath, and some potential meta progression. Though unfortunately, this definition doesn't apply to games as Vampire Survivors, Brotato or 20 Minutes Till Dawn, since their maps are pre-built and they rely solely on the build randomness and the randomness of how the horde of enemies is spawned. You could theoretically call the latter a procedural floor generation, but it's a little bit of a stretch. Wait, why was I telling you all this? Oh yeah, Dreaming Deep sucks balls. High-key, it doesn't really matter if you call Dreaming Deep a roguelike or a roguelite, because it's neither. Not only does it not follow any fucking rules from the Berlin interpretation, it also lacks both procedural generation and permadeath, absolutely ridiculing every single fucking website that calls it a roguelike mode. The map is pre-planned, never changing, the dialogues are always the same, every fight can be replayed if you die, the difficulty is literally non-existent. For a mode that's supposed to be a revamp of Elusive Realm, it's a fucking disgrace. There's literally no reason to have the cinema rolls because it's always enough. The fact that characters are gacha locked could make sense potentially because it's a gacha game, but it's literally a horrible design decision for a team building based quote-unquote roguelike. And you know what? It doesn't even fucking matter. The fucking characters don't matter. Nothing fucking matters in this shit because it is so fucking easy. The only way I can make this NPC experience fun is by literally skipping every single unnecessary interaction, and only then my level would be on the level of the bosses. You are literally disincentivized to completing the whole map because if you tweak a few additional fights, you'll one-shot every fucking single boss. The only thing that is fucking random in the godforsaken game mode is the characters that you pick up after some fights and occurrences. Not all fights, not all occurrences, but only certain ones. While the rest are totally fucking scripted. And it still doesn't make a difference. You wanna know why? Film theory. You know, the meta progression that this fucking daycare mode has. This is literally the reason why this disabled fucking challenge is so unfathomably, disgustingly brain dead. Increase the starting level by 15. Increase the amount of fragments gained by 30%. Increase the number of rerolls in the shop. Increase the maximum amount of film rolls by 30%. Stat increase. But who the fuck designed this shit? I'm about to fucking snap. The level up system is legitimately the worst fucking level up system I have ever seen. It doesn't do shit except increasing your fucking stats. There's no additional abilities you unlock, there's no talents, there's nothing. It is fucking worthless. Oh, you will say, but it's kind of a game mode for casuals. What the fuck are my difficulty settings now? For something that is supposed to be a movie-themed event, the story being told through Twitch chat is more fucking infuriating than watching EO tell us for the 69th time that ZZ is a fighting game and that HP inflation doesn't matter. And we can wrap this rage bait of a roguelike up with the only fucking replayability this IQ safe sandbox has. The movie endings. Which are literally a fucking chore. Thank you, but I'm not reading 50 billion Genshin Impact dialogues to understand which button I have to press to receive an alternative ending. Because it's not what I came here for. And then you will ask me, Ward, how do we fix dreaming deep? To which I'll honestly answer, I have no fucking idea. I don't think this game mode really can be a roguelike mode in the first place. They said we revamped Elusive Realm, but instead of that they should have just said we added a what if time campaign with some lore drops about some noir. Without trying to pretend that it is something that it's not. People really want Elusive Realm back. They still do. And I just cannot understand why they would not return it. It had so much more replayability, was more difficult but not to the head against the wall extent, and was much more exciting overall. Because of the restrictions of one character you can play, limited ways to gather a team, its relative difficulty, you had so many different characters to try with so many different builds. And instead of improving something that has already been successful, they just took it away and started creating something entirely different, and it's fucking dog shit. I just want them to bring the Elusive Realm back, and then, maybe, we can think of the ways to turn it into the best roguelite experience possible. But for now, I'm out.